Hey everybody, welcome back to Young Engineers of Today. I hope you had a good weekend, and I hope you're ready to get started on Eagle circuits because it's pretty involved. So that's going to be interesting. We're going to build something that's certainly more complex than we built the with 123D circuit. So the lesson will certainly be a little bit longer, but we'll take a look at it and see how we can, get the board ready for machining with an other mill and things like that. But first off, how was everybody's weekend? Got a fine, got a good, but pretty good. I appreciate it, you guys. Mine was pretty good too. Pretty low key. Um, got some work done, hung out with some people. All in all, pretty unremarkable, but it was pretty fun. I appreciate you asking. But yeah, um, I'm glad to hear that it was at least fine. Fine and better is what we shoot for, because sometimes all you need in a weekend is for it to be fine. At any rate, what we're going to do is we are going to uh, pretty much spend most of, like I said today, getting Eagle started and installed and set up, and then we're going to probably have enough time to at least take a look at it, maybe get started on a project. Um, it's possible, and then we'll just sort of go over everything bit by bit. You guys will get more familiar with it. You can see some of the stuff that you can do with Eagle, and as you get more familiar with circuit design, if you ever find it, something that you're interested in, Eagle circuit design is actually a very powerful tool for that. So let me go ahead and get the website up so that you guys can get the download started. So this is the website. It is cadsoftusa.com. It's Cadsoft Eagle. Um, Now, if we go to downloads, you might notice this not sure whether Eagle is the right tool for you, try it for 30 days thing. That's what we're going to do. There is an educational license for Eagle, but it doesn't exist yet, so we can't use it. However, the 30-day trial should be more than sufficient for what we're trying to do, which is, get familiar with it, learn how it works, things like that. Um, Obviously, with the 30-day trial, you can't make anything that you plan to make money off of. Like you can't design anything that you plan to make money off of. You can't monetize any of your designs. It's gonna turn itself off after 30 days. But again, if you find that you're super interested in it and you want to continue with it, you can always see about getting a license for it. And at some point in the future, there will be an educational license for it, which will be very helpful. But anyway, yeah, once you get to the website, go ahead and click downloads at the top. Don't even click on anything on on the drop down menu. You can just click on the word downloads and it should take you to here. And then there should be this try it for 30 days link that you can click on. And I do have JavaScript enabled. There we go. It just took a second to load. You'll have to fill out the information on this, first and last name, company name. I guess you can put in, Young Engineers of Today, or if you have. Oh yeah, no, sorry about that. Did you get the link in the chat box for Eagle circuit design? Okay, good. Go ahead and follow that. Then go to downloads. You can just click on the word downloads and then click on this link to try it for 30 days. It'll email you a trial code, which you guys can then use as you're installing it. You don't have to put in an address. You do have to put in city and postal code, though. And you do have to put in telephone for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. That's a little bit strange to me, but I guess maybe they're checking for the zip code or something, or the, sorry, not the zip code, the area code or something. I'm not entirely sure why they need that. But once you fill all this out, you will have to check this checkbox, which is unfortunate because not only is it I want to receive the 30-day trial version, I also agree to be contacted by CADSoft or the Premier Farnell group of companies by email or phone for further information. That's why the phone number is there. That's why reading is good. But yeah, it means that there's the potential for some spam. I hope that's not going to be the case. But, you know, it's something that you can always figure out how to get rid of later on. Usually, like when you get emails, there's an unsubscribe option and things like that. But yeah, once you've gotten this all filled out and you've submitted it, go ahead and raise your hand. All right, we got a couple of speed demons here. Okay, well, I'll just go ahead and say it. Once you've finished that, then you can go ahead and start the download. Obviously, select your operating system and your either 32-bit or 64-bit, your word size, but there's got to be a better way to explain that. Again, if you're not sure, yeah, just click Downloads at the top, and it should take you to this page. Like, I know there's a drop-down menu, but you can ignore all this stuff on the drop-down menu, and you can just click Downloads. The download's probably going to take a minute too, because Eagle is not necessarily a small program. It's not huge, but it's not really all that small either. Of course, once it's done downloading, go ahead and start installing it. It's important to note that you keep track of where it's going to be installed to, because you don't have to put in an address. Actually, if you look at that, there's no asterisk next to address 1 and address 2, so that's not a required field. You do have to at least put in city and postcode, though. Zip code. So that's nice, at least. I mean, handing out email address and telephone is not something you want to do all the time, but at least it's not having to put in your physical address. Because the less that kind of information's out on the internet, generally the better. You know, I don't think that they're gonna, release this information or anything like that. But sometimes I get a little paranoid about that. It must be the ornery old man in me just starting to express himself. But yeah, keep track of where it's being installed to. You will get a prompt about partway through the installation. Once you get there, just go ahead and raise your hand and we can go over what to do at that point. Although it is pretty straightforward. After you click continue and the email has been sent to you, go ahead and go back to the downloads page and then download the appropriate version of Eagle for your operating system, because that should still be open. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, there are a few different levels of Eagle products. We're on the free trial. Like I said, the educational license is not available yet. Up. Once you hit, no, you shouldn't have to. You should just be able to click the submit button, and then that's done. The tab for the downloads should still be open from when you clicked on try it for 30 days. So then you can go back to this tab and download the appropriate version of Eagle. For those of you who are at the dialog prompt in the installation after you've selected a place to install it to and told it to start installing, at some point it should stop and ask you what your license is. As you guys might have already figured out, it's going to be the free trial license. It's going to ask you for your free trial key, which is in the email that should have been sent to you by you should check your email inbox to see if you got an email from them, because they will send one to you. I don't remember off the top of my head if the page does anything necessarily different. Let me just see here. Did you make sure to click the checkbox above the submit button? Okay. It's possible that it's blocking something on the page for some reason. Do you have any sort of pop-ups down in the lower right-hand corner of your computer saying anything like, averted a potentially dangerous website or anything like that? I don't know. Sometimes these things can get a little overreactive and assume that someplace you mean to go to is not what you mean to go to, and so it will freak out at you. Uh, does your okay. Um, Even further down than that, from like the toolbar down here. Okay. Is there a little arrow down there? If there is, can you click on it and see if there's any like anything with an exclamation mark on it or anything like that? Hmm. Okay, I'll tell you what. Since you're in Chrome, you can try hitting Control, Shift, and N. And that puts you into at least I'm assuming you're in Chrome, that puts you into something called Incognito Mode. And one of the advantages of Incognito Mode is it will basically not run any add-ons or any sort of additional software. So if there's any add-ons like blocking your ability to continue on this page, you can try going into Incognito Mode and then going to that address. All right. And again, for those of you who are on the Eagle install and it's asking you for your version of Eagle, you can select the free trial software radio button, hit OK. It will ask you for a code. If you check your email, you should have received a free trial code from CADsoft. You can just copy paste that code into the box, hit OK, and it should continue with the installation and finish it up at that point. I know this is terribly exciting right now, but since most of this is just download and installation anyway, it's more like just the waiting game. And I guess I'll just put everybody's hands down now. Go ahead and raise your hand once you've finished installation. All right, one hand so far. Two hands. Three, four. Four hands. 5, 6. It's interesting to note that, awesome. I'm glad to hear it. That's fantastic. I was going to say, it's interesting to note that the hands all went up in alphabetical order on my side too. So that was actually kind of impressive. Nice coordination there, guys. Okay, so for those of you who do have it installed, you remember how I said you should keep track of where it installs to? Granted, it installs to a pretty generic place. It's the program files. But there was a reason for that. Can you click more information? Like, is it something that pops up across your screen? So is it just like a little text box that pops up? Once you get the email, you can start installing Eagle. You actually need the code from the email in order to register it as a free trial during installation. Okay, so for you, Matt, what you can do is you can try right-clicking on it and running as administrator. You'll probably get the prompt again, but you might get an additional button that says like continue anyway or something like that. This is the problem with like heavy duty engineering programs, is because they're made by engineers, they don't care about UX or um, you know, getting a verified installer. Basically, these things are sort of pet projects that become um, actual products. And because of that, like I was saying, can you try right-clicking on it and running the installer as administrator? Like the pop-up might come up again. However, there might be more buttons, like a continue or a, you know, something like that. There's no option for that. All right, let's see here. See if I can't find an alternative solution to get that to run. Uh, what Windows are you running, Matt? Windows 8 or? Oh, Mac. Sorry. Yeah. Yosemite, Mavericks. Mavericks. Okay. So Yeah, I honestly haven't been keeping up. It might be. You can try. Can you try just right-clicking on it and hitting open? You might get an additional option to be able to continue with the install anyway, which is silly, but. And let's see here, Mikhail. How do you install it? Like on the link? I just send the email to my phone and I put the link from the email on my computer. So are you looking at something that looks like this, Mikhail? Oh, sorry. Um, like what I'm looking at here. It didn't give you another option. That's unfortunate because that's the only because that's the way you override the security settings on a Mac. There's another workaround, Matt, but that's going to be a little bit more involved. So let me see um, about Mikhail real quick. Um, are you on the downloads? Okay, cool. So then just go ahead and select uh, the download for your operating system, which I guess would be 64-bit Windows. It's the Eagle Win64 7.5.0.exe. I mix my points and dots, but that should start downloading the application for you. All right, and for you, Matt, um, yeah, it's they I guess either CADSoft is German or they work very closely with a German company, so a lot of their stuff is going to be in German, which is really annoying. Uh, but that should just have your code on it, I believe. Well, your code should just be on the email that you got, and then the installer should all be in English, which is where you actually put your code in. Ah, okay. So, Matt, can you go to System Preferences? I know. I apologize. I definitely apologize for that. In the future, we'll put up notification when you guys have to download something. Okay, you're in System Preferences. Go ahead and go to Security and Privacy. Okay, and then there should be an allow applications downloaded from, and then a few radio buttons. So that allow applications downloaded from, if you select anywhere, this is not something I recommend to keep on, but if you select anywhere, you should be able to run that installer after you save changes. Okay, cool. Yeah, you can go ahead and run the installer, get the program up and running, and then change it back to Mac App Store and identified developers. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so let's see here. Grab a pencil real quick, and then we can continue with the lesson. Okay. All right, so once that installation is done, which okay, there we go. All right, so once the installation is done, I apologize for the million false starts I just had. You remember I said you had to, or you should keep track of where it installs to. Well, there's a reason for that, and that's because, like I said, Eagle is made by engineers, so there is no shortcut. You actually have to go into your computer and find the executable and make a shortcut yourself. Not only that, but it's not exactly easy to find. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get a new File Explorer window open. Found it? Okay, good. Yeah, if you're familiar with like a lot of early access software and stuff like that, you might have seen this kind of thing before, but if you haven't, then it's a little weird. So here it is, Eagle 750 on my C drive. If I open that up, I got a bunch more folders. I've got documents and libraries and miscellaneous and projects and blah blah blah. This bin at the top, that's short for binaries, which basically just is a fancy way of saying the executables for it, the program itself. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the bin file, the binary file. And here we have eagle.exe. This is what you want to run anytime you want to run Eagle. So I'm just going to go ahead and right-click this and create a shortcut on my desktop. Or I'm going to create a shortcut and then drag it to my desktop. And there, now we got Eagle down there. However, we've got one more thing we've got to download. in order to do this project that we're going to do, we're going to be using some of the Sparkfun libraries in order to basically add additional parts to it. Because if you remember from the when we were doing 1, 2, 3D circuit and we'd pull out different components and stuff like that, like we'd pull out a resistor component and add it to the schematic. We'd pull out a capacitor component and add it to the schematic and things like that. Eagle software or Eagle, whatever, Eagle Design works very similarly, except you can import a whole bunch of components with libraries. The default libraries have a whole bunch of components, a lot of components. In fact, it's a bit of a feat to navigate through all of those. So what we're going to do is we're going to essentially limit our options to just the Sparkfun stuff, which is going to be applicable to what we're going to make. And we're going to add some more stuff, which is going to be applicable to the Sparkfun project, so that we can make this. But hopefully, once you guys take some time to, once we take some time to basically skim through the component libraries, it should look a lot less intimidating after, a couple uses. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to expand this window. There we go. We're going to get the Sparkfun Eagle Libraries. Which, as the name suggests, is a collection of components. It's actually a library of components for Eagle that uses Sparkfun components. Once you've opened up this page, just go ahead and click on this download zip over here. This button right here. And it should download the zip file of all of those components. This is part of the reason why I wanted to go over it with you guys today, because it's a little bit more involved than most installs, but in the future I will actually keep you guys updated on stuff to download before the actual class in order to save time on this kind of thing. I'll just go ahead and click download zip now so that I can get some idea of how long the download's going to take, because once I'm done, you guys should definitely be done. Okay, so once that zip file is downloaded, you can go ahead and just click on it in order to bring it up. Here I have it right here. It's still I'm just looking inside the zip file. This is what it is: Sparkfun Eagle Libraries Master. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to extract that somewhere where you can find it, somewhere easy to find it. I extracted it to my desktop because my desktop is already messy enough, and I tend to throw a bunch of stuff onto my desktop in order, just to, at least temporarily, in order to do whatever I need to do. So it's real, just drag it from wherever to, or drag it from its location to wherever you need it to be. It should automatically extract it if you're looking inside of the zip file like I am here. If either you don't have that option because of a different version of Windows or because you're in your Mac or something like that, you can always select to unzip it and then select the location to unzip it to. Keep that location in mind. Make sure you can navigate to it easily because we're going to add this library to Eagle. Once it's been unzipped, go ahead and open up Eagle. And, well, congratulations, you've opened up Eagle for the first time. This is what it looks like so far. You aren't going to have this here. We can delete this.
Warning.
Warning. Yes.
Forcing pilot eject.
That was stressful to listen to. Anyway, this is the sort of the landing pad for the rest of the Eagle software. This is kind of like the splash screen for Word, or when we were working with, well, no, Fusion isn't exactly a good analog for that. If you guys have ever worked with Unity before, it's like the project select on Unity. If you were here, I believe we worked on Unity a little bit last semester, so if you were here last semester, you would have had some experience with that. But anyway, same basic idea. What we're going to do is we're going to go up to Options and then go to Directories. Now, as you can see, I already have the library listed here, but for you guys, it's going to look something like that. Just Eagle directory /doc, Eagle directory /library, Eagle directory /design rules, Eagle directory /user language programs, blah, blah, blah. What you can do is you can click on one of these and hit Browse and look for that extracted file. Since I have it on the desktop, I'm going to go ahead and go there. Where is it? Sparkfun Eagle Libraries Master. If I hit Select Folder, you'll notice now I got a semicolon and then I've got the path to that library. This shows that it is added in addition to the default Eagle Design library that already exists there. I've got it separated by a semicolon because I'm on Windows. If you're on Mac or Linux, it's going to be separated by a colon, a full colon, I guess. That's just how, it's just differences between the two operating systems. But, you know, regardless, make sure that it is the proper thing for your operating system. You know, if you're on Windows, make sure it's a semicolon. If you're on Mac or Linux, make sure it is a colon that is separating these two listings. Once you're satisfied with that, you know, you've selected the file, you're sure that it's separated correctly from the default library, you can hit OK. And if we click this little triangle next to libraries right here, you'll see that we've got two listed here. We've got LBR libraries, and we've got our Sparkfun Eagle Libraries Master. Now, I'll just go ahead and click the triangle next to libraries to show you. This has a whole bunch of stuff in it. I think I said that before, but allow me to say it again in order to really drive the point home. There are subpoints. See this right here? Just inductor. These are all of the inductors listed under just the inductor category. All of these are categories. There's a lot of stuff in this library. There's plenty of stuff in this Sparkfun Eagle library anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to clean this up a little bit for us so that we'll have an easier time working with this. What I want you to do is I want you to right-click on the libraries file. You'll have new folder, edit description, blah, blah, blah. You're going to click on Use None, because we don't want to use any of this stuff. And the way you can tell it's not going to be used, if you click that little triangle, if all of these are gray dots, that means they're not being added into Eagle Design, so they won't show up in the lists of components. Once you've done that, you're going to right-click on Sparkfun Eagle Libraries Master, and then click on Use All. Go ahead and click the triangle next to it and verify that those are being used with the green circle. So if you've got gray circles under libraries, or libraries, and you got green circles under Sparkfun Eagle Libraries, cool. So far, so good. We're almost ready to start our first project. Now, in order to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and expand this project again. Now, yours might look like mine, where you've got two separate ones. You've got Eagle and you've got examples. Examples, as you might imagine, is going to contain all of your example files, all of your example projects that you can look over at your leisure and see, you know, what everything looks like and how somebody else might do a certain thing or whatever. Basically, it gives you ideas and maybe a little bit of guidance on how to do something similar in Eagle. You can you can click the triangle next to Eagle. As you can see, I've got test here. This is me messing around with the Eagle software and learning it. You're probably not going to have anything there, though. So what we need to do is we need to right-click on this and create a new project. It should bring up a new folder with, and then the little folder icon has the 3 squares in it. We can just call this YEOT board and hit enter. And there you go, YEOT board, Young Engineers Board. So now we've created an empty project. We need to start creating the board. Now, this works exactly, well, not exactly, but very similarly to almost exactly, like how the PCB design works in 123D Circuit. It's just a lot less user-friendly, and that's just because this was designed by a bunch of electrical engineers instead of somebody who was really concerned about user interface and user experience, which is just kind of how these things work. So it's not going to be pretty, and it's not necessarily going to be intuitive to use, but it is a very powerful tool. So now we've done that, go ahead and right-click on YEOT board, and mouse over the new. So when I was saying it works very similarly to 123D Circuit, I meant in the sense that you create a schematic first, and then that translates over to a board, which you then lay out and do the copper pour and everything like that, like we did with the last thing. Which of course means that we're going to need to start with a schematic first. We can't just straight up go into board because there's not going to be anything to add. We've already added all the libraries we need, so going to library is superfluous. Cam job, that's after we've created something. ULP, we're never going to use. Script, we're never going to use. Text, we're never going to use. And it would be a little bit recursive and weird to add another project to our project. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and just go to new and then click on schematic, and it should bring this up. And this is what Eagle looks like. It's not very exciting, it's not very pretty, but like I said, it's a very powerful tool. Now, it's good to familiarize ourselves with how to navigate this and what we're going to need to get ourselves familiar with. So you'll notice down here, this isn't really helpful because I have a cross pointer right now, or a crosshair pointer, and then there's a little, let me go ahead and circle it. There's a little crosshair down here that's kind of, well, it's dotted. This represents the origin, because there is an origin. There's a 0, 0 on this. It's not really much you're going to have to worry about, but it's good to start from the origin so that we have some idea of how large the board we're going to make is and how large the schematic is and stuff like that, so we can see what kind of limit we have to the board we're going to make, because there is going to be a limit to this since it is a free version. Granted, that limit is much larger than what we're going to run into, but there is going to be a limit to this. So I'll just go ahead and erase that. You can zoom in and out with the mouse wheel. You can pan around by clicking the mouse wheel in. There is also, I believe, nope, that's not it. Oh, okay, gotcha. There's got to be an alternative.
Caution.
alternative way of panning without using the mouse wheel. My cat is meowing at me. Okay, I'll figure that out later. Just in case you guys don't have a mouse wheel, it'd probably be better to have an alternative option. But regardless, if you do, fantastic. You can use the mouse wheel, click it in, and pan around that way. Now, the way this works, again, is fairly similar to 123D Circuit, in which we add components, drag those components around, create connections between them, and sort of organize our schematic mode, and then we go over into board mode and do everything we need to do over there. So I guess the first button to really get familiar with in this case is going to be the Add Components button, because you're going to be getting pretty familiar with that over the next few lessons. For now, I mean, we're not really going to add much to this just because it's 7:54 and it would be a little bit counterproductive. But if I click Add over here, as you can see, I mouse over it. It looks like a little schematic component with a plus sign. Alternatively, you can go up to Edit, and Add is listed here with the icon next to it so that you can find the icon on the toolbar in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add. And here is a listing of all of the stuff. And again, these are all categories. And if we expand them, we can get subcategories and even, listings in those subcategories. So there's a lot of stuff, and this is actually less stuff than is in the default library, believe it or not. But it's good to have options, and there's a lot of different kinds of components, and electrical engineers, who knows where their project's going to take them? They may need to do a bunch of different stuff. But regardless, it's important to get yourself familiar over the coming lessons with the search bar down here. For obvious reasons, rather than having to search for everything manually, we can just go ahead and use the search bar in order to find everything we need to use. It's as simple as typing in the product or the component name and then hitting the Enter key. So if I search for GND for ground, here we go. We've got Sparkfun Aesthetics, we've got a ground supply symbol, and then we've got Sparkfun Electrical Mechanical Joystick PSP 1000. This is a footprint for the PSP 1000 joystick. It's got 4 pins, and see, GND came up here, which is why it popped up in our search. But, maybe we want to use the ground symbol, that kind of a thing. It's important to note, though, that it is a very literal search. So if we search for ATmega 320, which is something we're going to run into, there's nothing there. It is important to note, though, that there are ATmega entries. Actually, let me just go ahead and show you. Oops. Oh, it might be because it's... Let's do that. It was 328. That's why. Anyway, if I search for ATmega 3, I get nothing. If I search for ATmega 3 and then a star, I get a bunch of different options. And that's because the star is what's called a wildcard search term. In this case, it's searching for ATmega 3 and then anything in addition to that after ATmega 3. That's what this wildcard means. It's any number of characters, any characters after the string ATmega 3. If you've used Linux before and you've tried to search for something, if you've used regular expressions, if you've used a search in a Unix system anyway, you've probably at least had some exposure to wildcards. It's no different here. Now, it should be said again that this is only stuff after the search term. If we put another one before, then now our search includes anything before and after ATmega 3. I know it's a bit confusing, but it'll probably get a little bit clearer as time goes on. And you guys will definitely get more familiar with it because we're going to be using this search bar down here, this add, a fair amount. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and click cancel and close out of this because it's 7:58. I want to make sure you guys get out on time because I know you guys have things you have to do. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the poll questions, and then we'll leave it open for a question and answer time like we always do. If you don't have any questions, you're more than welcome to head out. Have a wonderful couple of days, and we will see you on Wednesday.